Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. Good morning, hello. Welcome everybody. So nice to see you all here. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia and this is Taking Back Friday, the live stream version. We do this once a month, every month on the second Friday of every month, and it's just a moment in time where we get to share a little bit about what's going on here behind the scenes at SweetGeorgia Yarns, at the school, and what I'm making, what we're working on, just a whole bunch of these things, just catching up. So thank you guys so much for being here. I can see you all in the chat. It's so lovely to see you guys. Are you able to see me okay and hear me okay? We are testing a new setup here. So I hope that it's all going to be okay. Today we're going to talk about a number of things. Today, one of the biggest things that we're going to be talking about is I'm going to show you the secret stash reveal. So the Secret Stash is a yarn club and it's a fiber club that we have just started for this year, 2024. And it is basically monthly deliveries of unique, limited edition, hand-dyed colorways that we're creating on different kinds of yarn. And then also fiber is delivered once a quarter, so once every 3 months. So we just delivered our very, very first box, maybe like a week or so ago. And so today is my chance to show you what that actually looks like and how it's been worked up into a couple of different projects. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about the studio and what is going on here behind me, behind the scenes. As well, I have a new color that I want to share with you guys because tomorrow is Lunar New Year. And so we are celebrating that around here and we have lots of stuff to share about that as well. I also have something I'm going to kind of unbox for you and show you, which is this. This is the Chiagu Forte 2.0 set. I'm going to show you sort of inside the box of this one. And I'm going to show a little bit about what else is on my desk and projects that I'm working on and all sorts of things like that. So that is sort of the plan for today and really, really looking forward to sharing all of these things with you guys. So let me first start off by showing you what is going on back here. So let's see if you guys can see that. Yes. So you can see that this is the secret stash as we were packaging it. So you can see Bridget is there. So Bridget is also in the chat today. Anita is there. Charlotte is there. Fantastic. So this is just preparing the shipments for the very first Secret Stash subscription to go out at the beginning of middle of January is when we were working on that. And so you can see we're in the new studio right now. We are still very much getting set up. This is actually our lunch table that we're working on and packaging everything on right now. This space is supposed to be built out later on into like an actual sort of dining kitchenette lunchroom sort of area. But again, we do not have that ready yet because we're still waiting on a building permit. So we're still working out logistics and things like that, but very, very excited to see all of this coming together and like the workflow coming together and all the different pieces and all the different people who are involved in making this package happen. It's actually really, really cool to see everybody working together like this. Now, Charlotte and I and Teresa and Hubert and working kind of like on plans for the upcoming shipments. And so I've been looking at different kinds of yarns to bring in, different yarns that we can experiment and try. Like, of course, we want to use the yarns that we often work with, like the Tough Love sock we do and the mohair silk sock we do. We do some sock blanks, those kinds of things. But I also want to experiment and try with a bunch of different kinds of yarns, different blends. And so part of the reason behind the Secret Stash is it gives us an opportunity to try different yarns, to test different colors, to test a whole bunch of different dyeing techniques as well. And so between Charlotte and I, we've kind of bouncing ideas back and forth about things and color palettes and ideas. And so we are planning sort of like 6 months into the future of what all of these things are going to be. So it's really been a cool creative process. And as well, you can see right now all those boxes are white. All the shipping boxes are white. It was my job. I was enlisted with the task of designing the boxes so that way they're not just all white. And I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I will, and it's on my list. And so new shipping boxes will be coming in the future shipments. Fantastic. So you can kind of see like a teeny tiny, like little color peek at what they're packing in the boxes, but let's show you guys what is actually inside the box. And so maybe many of you guys also on the chat did receive boxes. Very, very exciting. But yeah, let's show you what's inside the box. So inside the box is our colorway that we're calling rose colored glasses. And so this colorway, you can see it's got some pinks in it. It's got some peaches in it. There's some sherbety kind of colors. It looks like it's pink, but then when you look really close, I am absolutely loving like this. Can you see? Yeah, there's my cursor. You can see here, like there's just this movement of color between cool pink, warm pink, rosy pink. There's just all this stuff going on in the color that I absolutely love about this colorway. Um, it has been dyed on the mohair silk sock, which is right now my absolute favorite yarn for making socks, for making shawls, for making anything. It's really got like a bit of a slinky texture to it. It's strong and it's shiny. It's really smooth, well plied, and it's a little bit finer than our Tough Love sock. Tough Love is a little bit more poofy compared to this mohair silk sock. So mohair silk sock works really nicely for shawls and things like that. But in any case, this is the colorway. That's the yarn it was done on. Part of the reason for this rose-colored glasses colorway is explained in the insert. So inside the box that we prepare every month, there's a little bit of a story behind why this colorway came about. And the idea of rose-colored glasses is that like you see everything in a different light. And so from the very beginning of Sweet Georgia, the very first thing that I thought of and that I believed is like this idea that color can change everything. Color changes everything. Color changes the way that you see things. Color changes the way that you see the world. It can change your mood, it changes your perspective, all of these kinds of things. And so the idea of like kind of like washing your whole life with a kind of like a wash of pink and rosy golds and things like that can help you see life from a different perspective. And I talked about this because 2023 was not a great year. It was really very challenging and very difficult. And at times, like I would go home and tell my husband about things that happened. And he's like, why do you only ever see the negative things? So how come you don't ever see the positive things? And so it was kind of like a reminder to stop and look at the things that you're given in life and look at the things that you're going through and maybe shift your perspective, see it from a rosier perspective, see it from a different way, and not always focus on the negative side of things, but also like look at and be grateful for a lot of the things that are happening. So, like a lot of the challenges are that last year we had to move dye studios, we have to move entirely. So you can see we're in a new space here. But like right now, we are actually working out of two different locations. We're working out of this new location for like all of our office spaces here, all of our yarns, our front shop is here, our storage is here and everything like that. But on the other side, we are still maintaining a small section of our old dye studio because that's where our kitchen is. That's where our dye studio is. That's where we're producing all of the yarn. And we're doing this because we have been waiting for City Hall to grant us a building permit since November. And so, um, on one hand, these challenges are challenging, but on the other hand, we're trying to see things from like a really positive perspective. And yes, we are extremely lucky to be able to be working out of these two locations right now. And so it is good. It has been good. Everything is good. And I'm going to share with you guys today a few more sort of snapshots from inside the current studio, and eventually we'll make a video of the whole thing once we actually get it built. But yeah, that is the color for this month. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys make lots of beautiful things out of it. I'm going to show you what I made out of it, because this is the thing that I love to do right now. And I have been cranking socks like a crazy person. So I absolutely love working with my Erlbacher. So that's the Erlbacher Speedster. It's a circular sock knitting machine. I talk about it incessantly. I love it. This is a 64 stitch cylinder that I have on it, and that is what I have discovered works best for me for making socks right now for me. Even when I was knitting socks by hand, I would knit 64 stitches on circulars using magic loop. And now I'm just switching to using 64 stitches on a cylinder. And so I'm using that sock yarn, that mohair silk sock, to crank some socks. And you can see back here, I have a cone of the rose colored glasses colorway that has been wound into a cone using the cone winder that I also have talked about previously. It's the Sunfire cone winder, and it's a 3D printed cone winder that I got off Etsy. And a woman named Christina Saldana, she actually printed it for me. But the design of this cone winder is by Dave Hulster, and it's amazing. It's a wonderful hand cranked cone winder. So if you're looking for that, and then you can see on the other side here, this is a cone of purple lycra. And so I have been running lycra, like a strand, a very fine strand of lycra, into all of my CSM cranked socks recently. And so let me just give you a quick look at what the socks look like. So here are the socks. It looks really bright. So yeah, here are the socks, and you can see I'm just doing a really simple sort of hem at the beginning. This is a top-down hung hem sock, stockinette. You can see how the colorway kind of works up in here. I'm just going to focus here. There we go. And I do need to graft the toes. So this is something that I'm going to be working on next week, is to actually record a new tutorial on how to graft toes, because that's something that's been coming up a lot in the comments. Every time people are watching these CSM videos, they're like, oh, how do you finish the toe? So I am going to finish the toe. And just as a like preview, what I do is I take this waste yarn and I tuck it inside the sock, like so. And then I basically graft the toe here with a little needle. So I'm curious how you guys actually finish your toes if you do CSM socks as well, if you do the same. I think Juliet, you're on the chat here. And I see that you're on the chat. And so, yeah, different people will finish their socks in different ways. I know some people will actually finish them with sewing them from the inside out. I used to do a thing where I would put them on needles, 2 straight needles, and then graft them like in a knitty tutorial that I saw from a long time ago. So there's that. But in any case, that is what I'm going to be recording next week. And we can have like another quick little look here at the yarn. So these are the yarns. You can see they all have like a little bit of variation to them. There's a lot of stuff going on. Nice. Okay. And then there were some questions here. Valkyrie, I signed up for a double stash, and yes. So yes, you can, if you want, always get a double set of yarns. So if you wanted 2 instead of just 1, then it gives you a chance to make something a little bit bigger. Wanda's saying, typically not drawn to pinks, but I received my color and thrilled with the color. Do you have a suggestion for using a darker, solidish color to use with rose-colored glasses? Oh, I think that if you wanted, you could combine this with something like maybe some browns, maybe some navy would go really nicely. Um, Things that would sort of complement or contrast with. So if you're looking at the pinks here, using a darker purple, plum would fit in here. Something brown to go with more of the apricot kind of colors, picking up those colors, and then navy. I think all of those kinds of things would probably work well together. Yes, fantastic. I do also have something to show you guys that has been made out of two skeins, and so this is joining me. This one is called Early Dewdrops. It's a tee. It's a sleeveless tee that Charlotte knit. You can see nice and sleeveless, nice and stockinette on the front. There is a tiny little bit of lace trim at the bottom. But the cool thing about this is the whole backside is lace. And so this has been made with two skeins of that mohair silk sock in that colorway, this colorway. And yeah, the whole backside is lace and the whole front is stockinette. I think it's really lovely. And then if you just wore this under, a cardigan or something like that, this is coming up to springtime, to summertime. This is a perfect time to make something like this. So this one is called Early Dewdrops. We actually have the pattern on the shop as well. Oh, look at that. So Greta and Bridget are popping links into the chat. So thank you so much for that. And Susan is asking, what about non-wool options for those of us who are allergic? Yes, so we do have yarns at Sweet Georgia that have no wool in them. So we have one that's like flax and silk fine, which is a linen blend and silk together. And we do another one that's sea cell and silk, sea cell being from seaweed. So a cellulose kind of based yarn. So those two yarns, but because they don't have wool in them, they don't have the kind of elasticity that sock yarns typically do. And so this club in particular is more gearing towards the sock yarn side of things, not so much just fingering weight side, but more specifically things that could be used for socks. So yes, we do have like some non-wool alternatives for people who are allergic. So yeah, that's that. So I have to show you this. So yes, Secret Stash. These are the colorways for this month. And next month we have another one coming out. So March Club is going to be coming out very, very shortly. And the deadline, actually, if you want to get that March Club, is going to be February 15th. So we have this rolling cutoff every month. So you can sign up for these clubs at any time and you can decide to like stop at any time as well. You can get them just for 1 month, for 3 months, for 6 months, for a year, whatever you want to do. But the cutoff is always going to be the 15th of every month in order to receive the next month's shipment. And so I have put a little link here to remind you if you need to find that. But yeah, March, we are working on March right now. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really exciting. Yeah, Greta's saying for colorways, my first thought was marine, navy. That was my first thought as well. Yeah, I think rose-colored glasses and marine would make a nice combo. Now, to show you what is actually going on in and around the studio downstairs. So I've been talking about how we are in two different locations. The location that we're in currently is at East Kent Avenue South. It's near Main and Marine. This is near where we actually used to have our old studio like 4 years ago. And so we're back into that same sort of area, Main and Marine. And the front shop of the new studio is all set up with huge thanks to our team. Like Anita has been arranging all of the colors, making them look beautiful. Hoy actually made all of the shelves. Or he stained all the shelves, and between him and Hubert, they built all the shelves. And Teresa's been helping with organization and design and all these kinds of things. And so I hugely, hugely, hugely want to thank the team for putting that front shop together. It looks fantastic. And so if you come to visit us in Vancouver, you would be able to see all of this right now. It's open to the public from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekdays. We used to do knit nights at our old studio, and so we are getting the space organized and arranged so you can see. We have our couches we've been moving over and everything like that, so that we can have knit nights return to this space when the days get a little bit longer, it gets a little bit lighter. We are in quite like a tucked away spot in Vancouver here, and so we want to make sure that like yeah, that it's good and that there's enough light for walking around and stuff. So that is what the inside of the front shop looks like right now. I also want to show you something very special about this particular location is that there is a separate room downstairs in this front shop area where we actually have a weaving room. So we carved out that little extra room that's downstairs, and the whole room is going to be full of just weaving yarn. I'm so excited about this. So you can see we have up here, we have the gist array. That's the tapestry yarn. This is all Ven 8-2 cotton. This is all Ashford cotton. We do 5-2, 10-2 cotton. There's a bunch of little looms down here. We have some Everly looms as well. You can see we're also carrying all of the gist stuff. So we have all the duet, we have mallow, we have ode. That's the alpaca yarn. We have the gist beam, and a whole bunch of spinning wheels, and all of the spinning, weaving tools, looms, everything is going into this little room that's separate and neat. Yeah, we have been carrying weaving yarns for some time, but it's just nice to be able to have them all contained in this one spot. And so it gives us a spot to kind of show off. This is the Ashford Brooklyn loom. This is the 4-shaft table loom that I built last fall. And this is the Shacked Baby Wolf. So if you ever wanted to see these things in person, you can definitely come down to the studio and come and see them. And now you can see here, there are empty cubbies here. So you can tell me, what should we put in these empty cubbies? What kind of weaving yarn would you like to see us stock? It would be really, really cool to know. I know Ashford just came out with a Codlin yarn, which is a cotton and linen blend. It is swappable with 8-2 cotton. And so if you wanted to make kitchen towels out of this stuff, like the Codlin apparently is supposed to be more absorbent and more fluffy. So we might try some of that. But I'm totally open to ideas and suggestions on what you guys think about that. So yeah, we'd love to have you guys come and visit. And once the back part is all built out, then I will do another tour of the back part of the studio as well. But that is that for now. Now, I have more to share with you guys. So, as I mentioned before, tomorrow is Lunar New Year, and that's a really wonderful time where we spend a ton of time with our families. And this weekend, we actually did our Chinese New Year last weekend with my family because we were busy this weekend. But yeah, it is a really, really wonderful time. And this year, the celebration is that we are going into the year of the dragon. And so if you believe these horoscopes, these Chinese zodiacs, and sort of the background behind all of that, then it's saying that 2024 is supposed to be a prosperous year for the dragon, representing prosperity, good fortune. Wood dragon is the sign for this year, so it's not just dragon, but it's a wood dragon specifically, and it's supposed to bring evolution and improvement and abundance. And so it's supposed to help industries that have a lot of wood presence, strong wood presence. So they're saying things like culture and publishing, which is great because like that's kind of what we do. And this year we're also looking at cellulose yarns and working with cellulose things. So maybe that's all part of the wood theme of the year. But in any case, yes, wood dragon. Now we came up with a new colorway, limited edition colorway to celebrate Lunar New Year. And so let me just share that with you. This is the first time we've ever done this. Uh, but this is the colorway that we're doing for Lunar New Year, and it's called Double Dragon. And so I have like a little bit of background about this, and it's basically that both my husband and I were born in the year of the fire dragon. So if you do the math, you can figure out how old we are. But we were born in the year of the dragon, so two dragons. And so when we got married, I think we had like we set up our wedding website was double dragons, and the idea that my mom was nervous about was like that we're both fire dragons, and she's like two dragons together, like that seems very heated. That seems like very potentially challenging. Just like two very, very strong personalities. And so that is kind of like what is always at sort of the forefront of my mind. It's not just the year of the dragon, it's the year of the double dragon for us. And I love this colorway. This is very much like a lot of Teresa's ideas about what the colorway should look like, and working together with Charlotte on creating this colorway. But I love how it like literally looks like it's on fire. It's fire breathing dragon kind of look. It's like cacophonous. It's I kept saying chaos, but it's not. It's a little bit chaotic, but I love that like there's so much energy coming out of this particular colorway, and it just looks like it's sparkling, it's firecracking, it's like just really, really exciting. I actually really love it. I cannot wait to see this all cranked up into something, or knit up or made into something. I think it would be fantastic, actually woven, because it would help sort of break up all of the colors and move them around, and it would just literally be like on fire. I love this idea. In any case, I put the link here just to the shop, but Greta actually posted a link directly to the Double Dragon limited edition colorway, and that is there for you guys if you are so inclined. But yes, that's really fun. That's a really fun colorway. So I hope that it is a good year for everybody. I hope that if you are celebrating Lunar New Year, that you have a wonderful, wonderful celebration this weekend. I hope that it's all great. Now, the next thing that I'm going to share with you is we are going to talk about this. So Chiagu Forte 2.0. I don't know if you guys have heard about this set. This set is extremely popular. We had it actually maybe a couple months ago, and it sold out pretty much like right away. And so this is our restock of this particular item. Now, I made a video many years ago about Chiagu interchangeable needles. I love them. It was recommended to me by one of the students that I had back when I taught a workshop at Brew Creek near Whistler, and one of the students was like, "You should definitely try Chiagu needles." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I tried them and I love them. Fantastic. I like the red cables. They're really bendy. I like them. They don't untwist. It's fantastic. And so since that time, they have come out with this new set called Forte, and it's extra, extra, extra. So you can see here they have a whole bunch of different sizes of needles. They have all the smaller size needles are made with this carbon fiber shaft. So that's the gray color that you can kind of see here. It's carbon fiber. And then the larger sizes from 5.5 millimeter and up, so that's US size 9 and up, are all done with this African blackwood. And so some people like the feel of wood needles. They're like a little bit warmer in your hands. They should be quite light. They're lovely, but at the same time, they all have these stainless steel joins and the stainless steel tips, just like with the other original interchangeable needles. So the joins are really nice and smooth. These red cords are the original, what do they call them? Twist cables, I think that is. Um, so these red cables, no, yeah, lace. Yeah, so the red cables can fit on these, but they also have these new cables, which I don't have a picture of, but they are gray, and the gray uh, the gray cables, the silver cables, um, have a swivel feature. It's a new swivel feature that apparently is really, really lovely. I have not had a chance to use them yet, but I'm going to open up the box for you so you can see sort of how it's all put together. Okay, so this is Forte 2.0 Special Edition Interchangeable Set. I'm going to see if I can make it less bright. There we go. Okay. Yeah, the Chiago needles do hold up really nicely. So this is the case, nice and embossed. It's very sturdy. It's yeah, feels extremely sturdy. And there are the needles. So you can see here are all of the carbon shaft ones, carbon fiber ones, and these are the African blackwood ones. Okay. And then the cables should all be in here. Aha. So there are red cables and there are new silver cables. These are called the Swiv 360 cables, large and small. And they're all sort of interchangeable. So they have the same joins as the previous needles. So if you have small joins or large joins, they should all still work. Yes. Yeah, there are a number of reviews of this particular set all over YouTube. You can go and check them out, watch all the reviews to see if this is something you need. They came with a pen, they came with all these other little accessories. There's a measuring tape, there's a needle gauge, there's scissors, all of these kinds of things. So it's a really, really lovely set, but this is what the needles are like. And so they have, it's really tiny. So they have marked the actual, yeah, you won't be able to see it here, but they've actually marked the size of the needle here and the size of the join here. So that way you can switch them really, really easily. But yeah, I think that my trouble with interchangeables is always forgetting to put them back in the case. And then I can never find the needles that I need and the tips that I need. But yeah, I do like the Chiagu specifically for their tips. They're really nice. They're pointy, they're sharp, but not too sharp. Yeah, it's just like them. But I have not yet had a chance to actually use them. I used them for maybe about like 5 minutes or so at H&H last year. Teresa and I were at H&H in Chicago last year and went to Chiagu and chatted with them all. I got to knit on the Forte set for a little bit and it was nice. It was great. Beautiful needles. So this set here is available on our Shopify site, on our shop site. And we only have a few. And last time they sold out. So just letting you know that they are here. Fantastic. So that is that part. So if you need new needles. Now, let me find where we're at. I'm going to show you a little bit about what is behind me. So it's actually super bright in here. You can see it's super bright. And I even have the blinds closed and it's still super bright in here. It is a very bright room. You can see I moved things around and my loom is now here. I have the warping board up in this corner as well. The warping board, I I had a moment where I was just like, I need to wind a warp. So I'm going to put this warping board on the wall. And I didn't put it where any studs are. And I put it in, I put the screws in without any of those, what are they called? Um, oh, you put the little plastic things in the wall and then you screw them in so that they hold really, really well. And I didn't do any of those things. And I feel like the warping board is wobbly on the wall right now. So I haven't yet wound the warp that I'm supposed to wind because I'm afraid that if I start winding it, the thing is going to wobble and the screws are going to fall out of the wall. Um, I can do some things, but some things I just do a little bit too quickly, and that was not a great idea. So in any case, I am setting up this room for filming. So let me share with you what that kind of looks like right now. And so here is the room around me, but these are nice and cleaned up photos of what the room looks like. In fact, if you were in here right now, the room is like got a forest of tripods and trees in here. Yeah, it's a forest of lights in here and boxes of old samples and supplies. But in these photos that I've taken, it's nice and tidy and clean. So this is where we're at right now. That's the loom that is right behind me. I moved the loom so that it could be next to the window, because in previous, conversations that I've read and seen with Laura Fry, who teaches many of the weaving classes at the School of SweetGeorgia, we were talking about setting up new looms in spaces and where should the loom go. And originally I had the loom at the other end because I thought I was going to film into that corner of the room. But it's really, really way better to have light coming from the side of your loom, because then it can light up what you're working on the loom. It can light up as you're threading. It is like literally right behind me, so I can work on sectional warping from here. I can basically be closer to the loom and hopefully work on it more. That is the goal. And yeah, you can see my warping board is all set up on the wall right now. I'm needing to make a bunch of things. And so if you do actually go back, and on this YouTube channel, I started a little podcast, so you can see the way that YouTube has organized things into playlists and podcasts. And so I made all of Taking Back Fridays into a podcast. The Low Meets Loom videos are a podcast, and our Meet a Multi-Craftual Maker videos, which are the ones where I interview somebody who's made a lot of things, those are a podcast as well. But I've made the School of SweetGeorgia live office hours into a podcast. And you can go back and review things that I've talked about in previous months for the school. And in the January one, I specifically talked about my plan for all of the things that I'm going to be working on for this year. So the different courses I'm going to be working on, researching content. We're going to be doing some hand painted warps. I'm going to be doing some waffle weave. I'm looking at doing summer and winter project. I'm looking at doing another double weave project, but this time in twill. So I have actually a very ambitious plan of the things that I want to make and weave. And so part of that is trying to make this room really efficient in order to do all those things. Because half of the time I'm like, where are the shuttles? The shuttles, are they at home? Are the shuttles at the studio? Where are the shuttles? Where's my warping board? Where's my, winder thing? I just like so many things. I just want to make this space really, really super efficient. So yeah, if you go back to that live office hours, I actually have a whole calendar of all the things that I'm working on every single month in order to do all of the content that I'm going to be doing. So that is going to be happening in this room. You can see all of my leftover cones of gist, my leftover cones of Maurice Broussard A2 cotton. And yeah, I hope that some new things will go on that loom very, very shortly. Now I am going to show you what is actually going to be coming out very shortly in the school, and that is this. This is the next course that's going to be coming out on the School of SweetGeorgia, if you're a member there. This is by Kim McKenna. Kim McKenna is a local, she does everything. She spins, she dyes, she knits, she weaves, she does everything. She does fiber prep. She's an amazing spinning instructor, and she has been sharing so much knowledge with us over the past many years for the school. And I met Kim like initially way before any of this happened. It was when I was still working as a graphic designer, and I did sort of the formatting and design for her class notes, for her workshop notes, when she was teaching in-person dyeing workshops. This is like almost 20 years ago that we were doing this. So I've known Kim for a long time, but she spins the absolute most beautiful yarn ever. And so you can see this is these are all her skeins. These are 5 skeins that she spun using one of our colorways called Beachside Brunch. And she took that colorway and she basically formatted it in 5 different ways, used it in 5 different ways. And she goes through in this course all the different ways she does fiber prep. She uses hand cards in different ways. She's blended it with natural undyed fiber to create a different look. So the idea being that you can just take one hand dyed, hand painted braid of fiber, and you can do so many different things with it. You don't always have to do exactly the same thing. There's lots of options. There's lots of room for creativity. And so that is what she's sharing. And that's going to come out February 22nd on the school. So if you're not yet a member, you can head over to schoolofsweetgeorgia.com and check that out and see what we're doing there. And yeah, so we are doing these. She has a bit of a clip that where did we release it? We released it on the school. So you can see like a snippet of some of her teaching on the School of SweetGeorgia.com/tutorials. And so there's a couple of tutorials there where Kim is talking about how to diz fiber off of a hand card. And I think we might have links to share about that. Yes, this class is going to be fantastic. Um, yes. So we do have these tutorials on the school. The course is coming soon as well. Yeah. And then the other thing that we're starting to do at the school is we're going to have some sort of more topic focused meetings. So I'm doing a topic focused meeting on Monday night. It's at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for SOS members. And it's just one where we're going to gather and talk specifically about weaving stuff. You can bring your weaving. We're going to talk about weaving, all of that kind of stuff. And then there's going to be another one later on this month where we're going to meet with Greta. And so Greta, who's on the chat right now, Greta is going to host a meeting on the Monday, and she's going to focus on fiber prep and spinning because that is her main interest right now is fiber prep, working with this dizzing things, working with blending boards, working with hand carders, all these kinds of things. And so Greta is going to host that class, or not, it's not a class, it's just a gathering, it's a meetup. And so that's for SOS members later on this month. And I'm sure that there will be conversation about this class and the techniques in this class. So, yeah, thank you guys so much. Those of you guys who are in the chat who are also in the school. I always appreciate you guys seeing you guys on the chat here and being part of that conversation. So, thank you. Now, for the very last thing that I want to show you guys is what I am working on right now. So this is what I have recently threaded and what is currently on my table loom at home on my kitchen island, much to the chagrin of my husband. He's been wondering, is this going to live here now? But it is literally on our kitchen island. I've been working on it for about 2 weeks now. And so I threaded this warp that I had wound years ago for waffle weave. I even talked about it. It was a YouTube video where I was talking about unbalanced weaves on a counterbalanced loom. And the idea was that I wanted to wind a waffle weave warp and I was going to put it on the counterbalanced loom and then see how a counterbalanced loom works with this unbalanced kind of weave structure. And then I wound the warp and then it sat there for years because I didn't have time to put it on anything. But now I'm doing it because now, yes, mochi mochi waffles, because now this year I'm doing sort of like a deep dive for myself and for this sort of content research. I'm doing a deep dive into waffle weave and I want to do 4 shaft. I want to experiment with 5 shaft, 6 shaft, 8 shaft. Like, what does it look like to change waffle weave and make it into all these different things? I've seen people use waffle weave for wall art. People use waffle weave to create textures for kitchen towels, like something that can be um, so it's kind of mundane. It's like just a practical part of daily life. It's your kitchen towel. The most absorbent kitchen towel is waffle weave. And then you can also use it as wall art. So somewhere in the middle, there's like things to explore. People use waffle weave for scarves, for cowls, for blankets, because they are insulating, because they create these pockets where air can sit and just create more warmth. So lots and lots of things to explore about waffle weave. So in any case, this is a 8 shaft loom. It's an 8 shaft table loom. And I was initially just threading it for 4 shaft waffle weave. And of course, not counting how many heddles I needed, I just I just started threading and then realized that I ran out of heddles about halfway through. And I was like, what do I do? I'm going to have to make all these heddles. But in fact, because I'm on an 8 shaft table loom, I just used the back half of the table loom and used all of the heddles on those to continue threading. And so rather than just working with shafts 1, 2, 3, 4, every time I use shaft 1, I'm also using shaft 5. And then every time I use 2, I'm also using 6. So I'm kind of like duplicating the 2 things at the same time. And so you can kind of see that here where the heddles are kind of grouped here on the first 4 shafts, and then these heddles here are grouped on the back 4 shafts. It's just, it works. But you can see the close-up of these waffles forming. And I feel like it's not very dramatic with a 4-shaft pattern. And so we're going to try experimenting some more. And also on this warp, the reason why I designed it this way is that the first section, I think, has it's 3 strands of purple, 3 strands of teal, 3 strands of purple, 3 strands of teal. And so the idea with this first section is I was going to weave this as a color and weave. And so I'm going to do 3 picks of purple and then 3 picks of teal, 3 picks of purple, 3 picks of teal, because I want to kind of shade the waffle. So like one side to be darker and one side to be lighter, and to see what that kind of looks like. This whole section is just teal. This whole section is just magenta-ish purple. But this section in the middle here, this is where I kind of want the edges, the very top edges of the waffles to be light, and then the middle of the waffle to be dark. And so again, like trying to create like this graduated color situation within the shape of the waffle, like taking the taking the 3D shape that the waffle can make and adding color to it. So this is just all experimentation and seeing what happens. And then this last section is just random colors. Every single color is random. I think there's like 10 different colors, and just to see what might happen out of that. So once I get this woven like a chunk, then I'm going to weave, like I'll probably weave this first square, and then I'll weave another square, and then when I cut these 2 squares off, I'm going to wash one of the squares and leave one not washed. And so the idea will be that I want to be able to measure shrinkage. I want to see what happens to this yarn. This is all just 8-2 cotton, so it's not very expensive to play with all these different colors. You just grab a bunch of leftover 8-2 cotton and just try stuff. That's where I'm basically at right now. But eventually, once I figure out how this all works, once I figure out how the colors work in these waffles and these textural shapes, then I want to do things like add hand dyed yarn. I want to add gradient dyed yarn. I want to look at the difference between waffle weave and honeycomb. And so the goal is, at the end of the day, next year, the course that I want to put together is going to be called Waffles and Honey. And it's going to be like looking at waffle weave in depth, but also looking at kind of honeycomb and how the two are related or unrelated and all of that kind of stuff. So that is what I'm busy with right now. And having to also like hopefully wind a warp on that warping board, hopefully get a hand painted warp onto this loom sometime soon. And so that is between Greta and I. We are planning like so much filming right now, trying to figure all of that out. But the other course that I'm working on right now is hand painted warps. And so that will be like a multi-part filming process, because I'll be winding a warp, I'll be dyeing actually multiple warps, because I want to dye one that is all cellulose, and we're going to use fiber reactive dyes for that. That'll be kind of like a review of the fiber reactive dyeing course that we put on the school a couple of years ago, just reviewing that content, how do fiber reactive dyes work. And then we'll do another warp that will be all protein fibers, so wool or silk or cashmere or whatever it is. We'll dye that one with acid dyes, and then we're going to put them on the loom. And so one of the things I want to explore doing is, if you've painted 2 warps, to be able to intersperse the 2 warps onto the loom. And so one of the things that I've been thinking is that I have been doing the rough slaying technique that we learned from Laura Fry on the school. And so basically taking a warp, rough slaying it in the reed, and then winding that, like beaming the warp in that way. And so I'm thinking that I can rough slay from one of the warps, and then also rough slay from the second warp, and intersperse the colors that way, and then beam it all at the same time. I think the challenge will just be making sure that both warps get the same amount of tension. And then, yeah, I can have these two painted warps interspersed together going onto the loom. And then we can talk about things like set, and do we want it to be warp faced, or do we want there to be more optical color mixing and blending? There are so many things to do. So many things to make, and so many things to weave, and so many things to explore. I'm very, very excited about this. I'm also very happy with this particular setup with, we have the camera, all of this kind of stuff set up because I want to be filming a few more tutorials, kind of like top-down tutorials, showing you up close what we're doing, especially things like the sock things that we're doing, showing, yeah, a bunch of other techniques that we have listed that we're going to be working through as well. So that's all the stuff that we are working on for this year. Now, I do want to show you guys this. So this is basically where a ton of conversation is happening. And so I wanted to invite you guys to join us if you have not already. Our Discord community is very, very active, more active than I thought it was going to be. We've had it for about a year, and I think we are approaching 1,000 members in the Discord channel right now. And so it's really very, very fun. And there are topics, everything from knitting and crochet and spinning and weaving, but there's also machine knitting and there's also CSM knitting. There's also punch needle if you do that. But there's a lot of conversation about all of these different topics and a lot of people sharing what they have been making and working on, building new looms, setting things up, restoring looms, everything. So Discord is a great place that everybody is welcome to come and join us there. As well, I started a channel for Secret Stash. So if you are a member of the club and you're receiving the subscription packages every month, we're going to be posting projects that we've made for that particular month in the Discord thread. So you can find it all there. As well, whenever you guys are sharing and posting things on Instagram and you tag us, I see that and I always repost it if I'm able to. Yes. And so that's something that I've been doing. YouTube, you guys can connect with us here because I'm here every month. I'm here and seeing you guys in the chat and seeing all of the conversations. So that's really, really lovely. And we're going to be making some more videos to actually post, like pre-recorded videos to go onto YouTube very, very shortly as well. If you're a member of the school, we do have these very in-depth conversations on the forums, so you guys can join us there. It's a really amazing place to learn more things in depth. And then we have these ongoing meetups for the School of SweetGeorgia. So Mondays, the first and third Monday of every month, is a really casual crafternoon get-together that's hosted by Robin. And so Robin gets everybody together on Zoom and everybody's knitting or spinning or weaving or whatever they're doing, but they're just hanging out. And it's become like quite a lovely, consistent group of members who show up and do that together. And then, like I mentioned, we are going to be starting to host these very topic-specific get-togethers as well. And there's no teaching necessarily. There's no lesson. There's no like lecture or anything as part of those topic-focused meetups. But it's just like I will bring this loom and I'll probably be weaving on that loom and talking about what I see and then maybe trying some different things. And then if you want to bring your weaving and we can talk about stuff and we can ask questions and all of that kind of stuff. It's just an opportunity to spend more time on the topic that you're interested in. And if these meetings go well, then we'll start to expand them out into the different crafts as well. And then finally, if you guys have not yet checked it out, we have been revamping our SweetGeorgia website. The website is 20 years old this year. Which is just crazy to think about. But like I started posting in 2004, in August 2004, and yeah, it's been almost 20 years of blog posts. And so we are revamping the website this year and refreshing a ton of posts, writing a ton of new posts, and very, very excited to see all that come together. So you're going to hopefully start to see more content come out in the coming months. But I encourage you guys to come and visit that if you have not yet seen that as well. And so, yeah, that's the last reminder. If you guys are members of the School of SweetGeorgia and you want to come and join me for that weaving meeting on Monday night, it is at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The link for the Zoom will be in the SOS calendar, so you can go find that there. And that is basically it for today. This is our contact information. That's our new address now. And then these are the 4 websites that we work on. So we have our sweetgeorgiayarns.com website, which is the blog that I talked about. We have our shop website, which is being led by Teresa. Teresa is doing tons of work behind the scenes on the shop. And then we have our School of SweetGeorgia website, which is the online fiber art school that we do. And so Greta is leading that. And then I have my own little corner of the world, which is called Low Meets Loom. And it is a weaving only blog. And so we talk about weaving on the Sweet Georgia website, but the Low Meets Loom blog is a little bit more like nerdy about weaving. I'm going to talk way more about weaving and just like really, really go in depth into all of the things that I'm exploring with weaving and talking way more about that. And so, yeah, those are the 4 different places that you'll find us. And of course, there are Instagram accounts to go with all of those. So I hope that you guys find us there. And yeah, with that, that is basically the end of today. And it was like really, really lovely to see you guys all here. I am just checking the last bit of the chat because I think I saw something that I missed earlier. And it was a question about hand painted warps. I think it was a question about whether or not we were going to teach hand painted warps painting. Oh, painting, hand painting warps on the looms. So, this is one thing very specifically that we're not going to focus on in this particular class. So I was talking about the hand painted warp class. I'm going to paint the warps in the dye studio first and then, wash them, rinse them, dry them, prep them, everything. And then I'm going to move them to the loom. And so the conversation for that particular class and the focus is like, how do we plan the painting of the warp in the dye studio? It's kind of like, how do you envision what that's going to look like? And then how do you transfer that to the loom? And then using the settings of the loom, like how did you set it? What density is it going to be? What weft colors are you going to use? What weave structure are you going to use? All these kinds of things. What is that going to turn out like? It's a totally different thing to sort of dress your loom with a blank warp and then like unroll the whole thing, like stretch out the whole warp and then paint it, and then roll it back onto the warp beam. I've also seen situations where people will warp their loom with a white warp and then paint the exposed section of the warp and then weave a little bit, roll it forward to expose more undyed warp, and then paint more and then weave more. And so I don't want to do that because I don't want to mess up my looms. I feel like that would be a little bit messy. I have seen it done before, but I also prefer the look of when the colors are kind of mushed a little bit more in the warp. I feel like if you've painted things too clearly, like I don't want to see a picture on my hand painted warp, but that's just my own personal preference. I know maybe others might be more specific about wanting a really sharp graphic on their hand painted warp as they're weaving, but for me, I love seeing the colors mush. Um, so that's kind of what I'm going to be exploring in that particular course. And I hope that answers your question. Valkyrie saying, happy anniversary, 20 years. Felicia must have been, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy anniversary. Oh, yes. And Mochi Mochi is reminding everybody that for the SOS members, there are silent co working sessions that are being started up by members independently inside the school. This is like the dream. This is what we always wanted. We wanted members of the school to like create their own time slots where it was convenient for them to come, but to create these meeting times, just like Fight Club, like random days that would just pop up in the calendar and be like, oh yeah, there's a day on Tuesday. Oh, there's a day on Sunday. So anyways, Mochi Mochi is saying that there is a silent co-working session happening on this Sunday. And there was a regular time that was 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Fridays, where there's a bunch of people who are continuing to meet every week. And yes, and so that is hopefully happening as well. Fantastic. Yes, and around the world fibers. Can't wait to get back to Vancouver and see the new location. Yes, you guys are all welcome to come visit us. The studio front shop is open right now. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's so nice to see you all in the chat. So nice to sort of catch up about all of these things. And I will see you guys next month. It'll be March. We'll do a reveal for the March colorway, talk about what else is going on. Hopefully, I will have this loom done. We'll have more to show. So thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you in the next one. All right. Bye for now.